is there a... Oh.
I just realized you guys definitely heard that.
But yeah, so...
Can you guys maybe...
No, we cannot.
Oh, okay,
It's a
but
white
regardless, Claire wrote, I heard that. Text me. G'day, basement dwellers. I am Brady. I'm your anime person. We have Jace. He's everything gaming and computer. And then we have Justin, who's everything tabletop, Dungeons and Dragons, so on and so forth. Just some housekeeping as we get into this episode. We've started releasing a little bit more content for you guys, just to supplement. If you know one of our things and not the other, then we've decided to do little how-tos, knowledge bites. Jace's are going to be called Codex, mine are called Ramen Stan, and Justin's are called The Adventurer Guide. Hope you guys enjoy those. Definitely check them out on YouTube. But let's start this episode off with Justin, because I think you've got something for us to talk about.
Correct. So a few eps back, Jace gave us the task. Well, we kind of collectively, but Jace, I think, was the one that came up with the concept to do something that we didn't really enjoy doing.
It's the one I didn't do, yeah.
It's the one that only I did.
It's the one that, no one did except for Jace at the time. And I was like, I feel bad. Like, I should really find something that I don't enjoy doing.
That's the difference between me and you, yeah.
you feel nothing. So I was like, I need to find something I hate. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. Started playing Far Cry 6 because, it's my new thing at the moment. Gave up on that idea. And I got up to a point where I was on a side mission. I'm like, cool, side missions are great, whatever. I need to complete this game. And they gave me a fishing rod. And I'm like, that's my thing. That's the fucking thing that I hate most in this world. Fishing games inside of regular games that don't actually need to be there whatsoever. And I was forced to throw my line in and catch 3 fish, of course. And that was it. I'm like, all right. So for context, I don't know if anyone out there doesn't know what Far Cry is. I don't know why you're watching this, because that's just weird. Or listening to this.
Just shaming our viewers, listeners.
Yeah.
Far Cry, first-person shooter. Usually you just go around fighting everyone and overthrowing some sort of a dictator or evil guy. And Far Cry 6, not too different in that respect. You land in a sort of Cuban sort of a style environment. You become one of the guerrillas that, run around and overthrow the government and try and take out the dictator. And then right in the middle of that, you got this guy's like, what's really important, my friend? You need to learn how to fish. It's like, fucking why? Why do I need to catch a fish right now? Just 2 seconds ago, I took this whole center out, and now you're standing here saying well done, gorilla. Now go catch a fish. Like, what the hell? You don't eat them. You don't necessarily have to eat them at all. It's not for sustenance. It's not like a survival game. So why did they put it in? I don't know if I'm the only person that I don't like fishing in real life. I have no patience for that. So I don't know if I'm the only person out there that just doesn't enjoy these mini game fish things that come up, but this is not the only example. And I know for a fact, Skyrim is 10 years old, 15, maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there. And they just released fishing not that long ago as well. And that was a big deal. They're like, hey, guys, if you haven't played Skyrim on your refrigerator or your 15,000 different consoles that it's out on, you should pick it back up, because you know what? We got fishing. Whew, we got fishing. It's fucking why? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Quite a rant.
Dude,
I wanted to jump in a few times, but you look like you were just ready to go. And since for the last 2 episodes,
I didn't realize
this was
a thing. I didn't realize this was a thing. I did not realize how much I despised this until just now. I'm like, more fishing. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my thing. I fucking hate that. Why? Why are you here? Why did you waste all of this time and effort on this? So I went further with this too, but I'll let you guys talk for a second before I keep going on this rant.
I enjoyed it. That's fine.
If anyone's going to agree with you, it's going to be the vegan guy over here. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with the mechanics of, hunting or whatever in a game. However, I definitely have the issue of forcing me to do any of that shit. And it's not because I have some issue with doing it in a video game. It's because it's fucking boring. Holy shit.
Correct.
Like, I recently went through Red Dead Redemption 2 just after upgrading my graphics card because I was like, what better excuse than now to, test out the graphics card.
For sure.
And you get about a third of the way in. I don't know. You've killed about 630 people. And they're like, all right, now go take this little kid fishing.
Yeah, right.
Fucking what?
I get the story development in that part of the game. I understand that part of it. But they could have done that whole thing in a cutscene instead of wasting your damn time.
Yes. And like even the things about like the hunting tutorials, it's like over an hour to teach you how to hunt an animal in that game. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Especially because hunting doesn't even do anything.
Right? Yeah. You might get a bigger wallet. I don't know why they're trying to immerse you in this. Like, I don't know if they think that it's like, oh, you better survive, boy. Learn how to hunt. Learn how to catch your fish. But you don't actually need any of that shit to live. So,
and Far Cry is probably the worst for it. Like, it made the entire series sense, from because it started in Far Cry 3 because Far Cry 2 didn't have it, and neither did 1. 1 was pretty much a straightforward shooter on an open island. Number 2, you were in Africa, so there's not a lot of fish around. Brady, fucking mute yourself, man. Or get some fucking degas, whatever. But yeah, so there's not like a whole lot of fish around or anything. So clearly there's not a whole lot of hunting going on. Yeah. And you have malaria through the whole game. So
yeah, that was rough. I remember that.
But Far Cry 3, you're on an open island very similar to Far Cry 1. You've got all this stuff. And then the crafting shit that they put with all the hunting and fishing and that. Oh my God. Why do I have to kill 38 sharks to get a new wallet to hold 3 bullets?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
I get it. Like, crafting was a thing. We've talked about this in previous episodes where crafting became the new cool, and it was, oh, wow, how exciting is this? I need X amount of things to make this item. And it was sort of rewarding to start with. I get it. But, man, it's getting old real quick. And this whole fishing thing in the middle of an overthrowing a government, like, come on, man.
Like, why do they have to force you into it? Like, let us do it at our own leisure if we want to.
This most recent one though, there was 0 reward for it. It was just like, you've done this side mission, congratulations. There wasn't like there's no point in catching these fish. So you just got these fish and you're like, cool, I just caught 3 fish. That is done. You're like, well done.
That's the difference though, right there, isn't it? So I'll play slight devil's advocate. I don't hate it when it's optional, fun, and there's some amount of reward, or it feels like they gave a shit when they put that whole system in the game of fishing. It feels like they cared more than they just imported some copied, repeated version of it from some other game. So like Final Fantasy 15, we've already talked about it. I don't want to seem like that's the only game I've ever played, so I'm not going to talk about it again.
He's played 13 as well.
Yeah, that game had fishing as an optional. The only time I think it was somewhat you needed to do it was for like a bonding thing, and it kind of worked. It was half cutscene, half fishing. It helped if you had done it already because it made it faster, but you didn't need to have. It was fine. That was cool. But then like in games in general, so fishing's one thing, but when they make the side thing optional, I think it makes a big difference. So like The Witcher's Gwent in The Witcher, Final Fantasy X 10, Blitzball.
Yep.
What else have we got? Oh, help me out here.
There's tons of things like
Kingdom Hearts is like stupid musicals in the first game.
I mean, for the most part, this fishing thing, it was only a side quest. So if you didn't really want to do it, you didn't have to do the side quest. But I'm a completionist, so
so that makes a difference to me though. If it's not something you have to do to get through the game, it's something you can choose to participate in. I don't hate it.
Yeah, but
I still need it to finish it.
It's just additional content. Like, are you that mad about additional content?
Yeah,
but like when it's a mission and like, did the mission clearly state just go catch a fish?
It was like, just go catch 3 fish.
But like, did it state like you know, when you go to your mission log or whatever, was it like go catch fish, or was it like, you know, catch of the day, and then that's all it had, and you just have to do the mission to figure out what the fuck's going on?
No, I
to
just
find
told
it.
you just catch 3 fish.
So I guess that's not too bad, but it does also annoy me that they even bother making an actual mission out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I don't know. It just does. I don't think it even needs to be there at all. Like, what's the point?
Oh,
I don't
no,
get
that's
it.
the other one. Assassin's Creed, that had fishing. That's fucking annoying.
It
which
did? I don't
Assassin's
even
Creed?
remember.
Valhalla.
Yeah, I didn't play Valhalla. I gave
Valhalla
up
had-
after. Is it Origins was the first of like the new generation?
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
ones are kind of working out to be prequels in the past part of the story, but advancing the story in the future part of the story. It's really weird. Didn't Origins was fine. Wasn't that into it. Valhalla annoyed me concept wise, even though I wanted to play as a Viking. I was like, fuck yes, but I was like, how are Vikings sneaky? That's-
Yeah,
Like, that's not
Well,
running
it's
in
a-
with a great axe. Like,
it's like the whole fucking everyone loves AC4 Black Flag.
Mm.
I didn't. Well, like I didn't hate
I
it.
didn't
but
play
I
Black
wasn't
Flag.
the biggest fan. But everyone seems to love it, and I'm like, how sneaky is a pirate?
yeah,
And like half
I-
the game was boat combat. Like,
yeah. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I enjoyed Valhalla a lot. It was fun to play. They did a lot of work on the characters, all that sort of stuff. It was fine. I just thought it was silly. Like, I'm like, wait, you could sneak, but you didn't have to. Like, he literally refuses the tradition straight up. Like, you know, it's not fucking
cutting off the
spoiler.
finger.
Yeah, he's just like, that's fucking dumb, and puts it on the outside of his hand.
Mm. Yeah.
That's like, in the first few fucking minutes, he's like, nah, look at that. Kept my fingers. And I was like, yep, but now you're not really an Assassin's Creed game. It was really weird. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I think,
I know
have a
exactly what they were
suspicion.
thinking.
yeah,
Like, have you gone onto like any social media and put in like hashtag Viking? Everyone fucking strokes themselves over being a Viking or
Yeah.
Viking culture. The TV
Yeah,
show
that's true.
Vikings blew up.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, Vikings is a fucking brilliant show.
well, and you got
Yeah, it was
Thor from the
enjoyable.
MCU as well. That's not
Yeah.
helping. But like,
And then like also Hellblade, Senua's
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
uh,
Brilliant game, but yeah, also
I've been wondering this for a
Holiday.
while, and you might know, Jace, because you're more in the gaming world. And we'll come back to side mission stuff. Sorry, Justin.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
It's a gaming thing. Ghost of Tsushima. Do you think the like Assassin's Creed franchise was kind of annoyed somebody else got to that first? Because Ghost of Tsushima is not a ninja, but there are very ninja-like qualities going on, and the way you play with the whole stealth and stuff.
well,
I feel like Assassin's Creed they might have felt like some sort of kick because someone got there before them.
I don't doubt it. So like I haven't played the game because it's a PlayStation exclusive. So
Oh, it's so good, dude.
It's so good.
The whole environment changes depending on how you play as well. Did you notice that, Justin?
No.
It literally gets cloudy if you do heaps of sneaky, underhanded, non-Bushido code
Oh, that's
like
clever.
stuff. It gets darker and darker and
That's
darker.
cool.
Yeah.
But,
I did
very,
because I'm an
very clever.
asshole and I wanted to win, but like,
so the next part of that is that they sort of had a chance to go with a lot of Eastern culture
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
they also did China Chronicles.
they did.
They had a
yes. I
game
remember
based
that.
in China.
Yep.
It was dog shit, and it was a
I didn't play it.
Nintendo DS game. I bought it.
That's why.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
bought it and like recently because I was like, I get that it was maybe it was PlayStation Portable, but either way, it was one of the handheld consoles, and I was like, so the
Was it
graphics are going to be a
terrible?
bit shit. It's a fucking 2D platformer. It's side scrolling. I'm like,
It's
you.
Assassin's Creed.
They also brought out that weird Assassin's Creed, like not an AA title, but it was something else. It was not like exactly well known. But there was another one that they came out with, and it was like short smaller games that came out in succession of each
Was it
other.
like a rhythm game or like a?
Nah, dude, it
fucking
was like
mobile game?
regular like Assassin's Creed, but it was just
Oh, okay.
smaller games, like just little pieces that you could download one piece of the game as you went
Oh.
along. I'll have to find out what it was.
Yeah,
It was
there was a whole bunch of weird
it's just
stuff.
prior to Origins, like it was just a bunch of stuff, and it had a bit of Oriental feel to a little bit of that at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a whole bunch that they could have done that they just chose not to.
They missed the boat there. They missed.
Yeah. They
They
spent
did because they to top Ghost of Tsushima like. I don't know how you do it. It was
honestly, if I was Assassin's Creed, I wouldn't go near it for 5 years. I would just
there
let
was
it
nothing lacking in that game. Like I finished it and was like, it didn't even finish too early for me. Like I finished it and was like, I'm glad it concluded. I enjoyed playing this.
So
but like,
I 100%ed it.
It
So
just
I
did
wiped,
what it was.
I wiped the map as the story went on.
I did the same.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
very happy right now. So yeah,
I did too. And
Yeah.
I felt like I got my money's worth. I also felt like it was enjoyable. It didn't drag for the sake of dragging, but it also didn't stop you short of being like, oh, fuck. Like it was just good. This I got nothing else to say, and it came out of nowhere because it was just a one shot, basically done.
Yeah. Oddly enough, while we're on the topic of Assassin's Creed, and then also getting back to what Justin was saying,
Yeah.
the first Assassin's Creed game, the mandatory shitty side missions. Don't get me wrong, I loved that game. But when it's like, oh, you've got to do 4 side missions before you can do the next story mission, and then you got to race people over rooftops and stuff, I'm like, that
also
really
very
kind of
tired of climbing towers to get a look at my map.
Yeah, but I don't mind
its
that.
time though. Like it was original as hell. Like you never had that before this
the first
point,
time
you know
was
what I mean?
fine.
Yeah.
Every fucking game, I'm so done with it.
Yeah.
God
They
damn.
really could have done it unique, but yeah, I think the boat's really sailed on that series. Like at this point, they're just trying to get something that's marketable and cool, rather than sticking to what the franchise is or was.
Yeah.
But yeah, being forced to do anything as far as like side missions go, where it feels so out of the flow of the game. So like, I always think there's no point in having a side mission for like optional activities you can do if it just completely ruins the flow of how the game works.
Yeah, if it doesn't have context or it doesn't need to be there, then don't put it there. A very good example, going back to Far Cry, because it's been my thing for the last couple of weeks, they bring in Danny Trejo, and I guess it's because, you know, it's Danny Trejo and he's cool and I fucking love that guy. No bad words to say about Danny. He's hilarious in everything he does, including Spy Kids. I don't
and
care.
Machete.
Machete is great, man. He's so funny in everything. But like in true like people's style of, you know, directing and all the rest of it, they just give him these shitty things sometimes where it just doesn't work. And this was a prime example of it. Like he calls you in to help him out and you're like, yeah, cool. You get over to Danny Trejo and you're like, wow, you actually are the Danny Trejo. It looks exactly like him. They did a great job modeling this guy and spent a lot of time on it probably. And then all you do is go and get salsa and some food for him to cook. And then he's cooking it on the grill. And then the health inspectors come to steal his recipe. And then you just basically, for the next 5 minutes, kill people while he's cooking a grill. And then he feeds the grill to the crocs. I'm like, cool. So, like, we're going to get back to, like, you know, overthrowing the dictator? Or...
I mean, to me, that feels like a fun cameo. But it sounds like the way they inserted it in is not like
it's just
a rest break in the
maybe
story.
I'm just getting old. Like, you know, maybe like as a young kid, I would have found it funny, but I'm like, now I'm just like, you know what? Is it really like,
you know what it is? Did you know the first Suicide Squad movie? You know the bar scene?
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like. 100%. It's just the part where they're all standing around being like, we're bad guys, and here's us exchanging why we're all not shit, and for no reason we're just going to pause the flow of the movie and the pace and just stand here and talk. And it was like,
but I feel like they could have done the same thing with less humor and just added him like with a machete and just went to town on like a base. Just like got him.
That would have been more
with a
humor,
machete,
really. But
And he's
that's-
like, no, homie, you don't need a gun. And he throws you a machete too, and you both fucking rage out. And you go into a base and you just kill everyone with machetes. Awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
Done.
But like, I don't know much about it because I haven't played 6, but like, they should have had like a whole series of missions with Danny Trejo.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, if you do that absurd mission with the salsa and that, keep doing weird, wacky shit like that.
Either bring it back and have it like as a goof, in every town. It's just Danny Trejo pops up. He's like, hey, want to cook another recipe, homie? But like, it's nothing. It's just one mission. Then he gives you his bike, which is awesome. And that's it. And you're like, cool. All right. So that was weird. I'm just going to go back to doing like, the stuff I was already doing, just over there. Like,
Yeah.
it's dumb. Like, I don't know.
Was it
But-
compulsory though?
No, like it's a total like you can do it, or you can just leave it as a
See,
blip
that's
on
where
your
I'd
map.
argue that that's fine.
But like it's a blip on your map forever though. Like it will just be a spot on the map. Like,
You're the guy who can't leave a notification on his phone for anything.
nah, dude.
Have you ever
Everything.
played the Batman Arkham games?
Yeah.
Man.
Did it drive you nuts, like doing the fucking Riddler challenges?
No, I didn't
'Cause,
mind
like-
those at all. I liked them.
Oh my god. I remember my ex went through and did all the Riddler challenges in Arkham Asylum. And I was watching her and like she had a guide with her to do it, like, because they're fucking ridiculous, some of them.
Yeah, some of them were great.
And I was like, how are you doing this? I was just like, no, I'm gonna keep playing. Like, I did pretty much every other side mission, but Riddler challenges can fuck right off.
they were tough. Yeah. No, I did all of those. Yeah.
I've played 2 of them and I still I don't care. I know that's like a crazy opposite opinion of everyone else, but the mechanics were good for the time. The fucking there's like a whole myth about how many people it took to make the fucking cape flow. But the fact that you walk everywhere at about 1k an hour, and I like that they made it detective based as a comics fan and enjoying the original basis of Batman being a detective. That was really cool to include in a game. But I still just didn't find it that enjoyable.
Yeah, you're wrong, but I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah, I knew we'd have opposite opinions. I didn't say it was a bad game. I just didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
The pacing was weird. The fact that like most of its calling card is it was good for its time is hard for me to deal with.
Honestly, I could go back and play it. I really enjoyed.
I have gone
the
back and
stories
played
and-
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I've tried.
Arkham City is kind of hard to get back into because I hate
Yeah.
the whole swapping between Batman and Catwoman crap. That
Agree.
can bugger off.
Yes.
I'd rather play one or the other, just do it that way.
Yeah.
But I totally fuck with that story. I think the story's good. The combat mechanics not only are good for their time, but they were revolutionary. So I think the best explanation is Halo, right? So everyone's like, oh, Halo was so good for its time. It was revolutionary because it was the first where you had regenerative health and stuff like that.
Mm.
And it was the first good first-person shooter on consoles. And I'm excluding like GoldenEye 007 here. But
Yeah, but people weren't goldeneyeing online.
yeah, correct. But yeah, so there was so much that they'd done that was like a first, and the amount of games since Batman Arkham series that have copied those combat mechanics is astronomical. There are so many games that use very similar combat mechanics now.
Spider-Man games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know. Maybe it was story pacing as well. Because I
Like,
love the shit out of Spider-Man games.
You
and I
might have
knew
got
that they were-
sidetracked, dude. Like you might have just got sidetracked on side mission, but after side mission, and just never got back
It
to the
just
actual.
took forever to walk anyway. You know the difference between the Batman and the Spider-Man ones, even though the combats have that similar thing, as you said, you get fucking anywhere in Spider-Man games pretty quick.
I didn't really find
And the
it too hard.
experience of going places in Spider-Man games was fun if you went slow. Whereas in Batman, it was like, oh, fucking hell. I have to get really far away. I'll just trottle along, watch how cool my
Well,
cape moves.
Was this Was this Arkham City that you're thinking of that took forever to get anywhere?
Probably the first one.
No, the first one was Arkham Asylum.
Asylum was
And
pretty...
that one should have been relatively quick to get around because
'cause you got
everything was
vehicles.
sort of really close proximity. Like,
I just felt like I was walking all the time.
I don't know, maybe it's time for a replay one of these days.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
That
That's
might
your
be
thing.
But
That's your thing, man.
That's- no,
Play a
if
slow
we're gonna
game.
talk my go-to games of not enjoying, if we're gonna do it as games, because we said we'd just do anything.
Yeah,
but if I
whatever.
was gonna do a game of something I didn't enjoy, it would be just some sort of online first-person shooter. Because I fucking hate that. Because I spend most of the game being like, cool, I'm glad I respawned to get shot immediately. Because I'm not particularly good at them, and when I am good at them, everyone abuses me. Like if I get good at it and I'm like, right, the way I get good at these games is to run around with a shotgun, which everyone fucking hates. Everyone hates that guy. But I can't do shooting from a distance. I don't know what it is, but maybe I've always had shit gear and couldn't see stuff. But when I've watched other people play, I'm like, how did you even see that guy? Like, what the fuck? But when I play, I get shot in the head immediately. So I just play by running around with a shotgun. Anything moves, I shoot it. And
Seems fun to me.
it works all right, but everybody just fucking hate speeches you in like the worst way.
That's the reward.
Because...
That's when you know you're doing real good.
Yeah.
No.
Getting yelled
I'm
at's
okay
a
if
badge of
someone
honor.
being like,
Yeah.
oh, you're doing all right, but like, fuck you. But they're not like that. They're like, oh, you fucking shotgun. Like, you can't play for real. I'm like, no, I can't because you guys are better. This is me fitting in. And they're like, no, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, this sucks.
That's hilarious.
So I think
So that's how I would play a game, I think. If I was going to do something I didn't like, it would be a first-person online shooter.
I could definitely
the
have
one
this
thing I was going to
arranged.
go back to the fishing thing that we started like
What were we
30
talking
minutes
about?
ago.
Fishing?
So fishing. So I decided to take it a little bit further than just hating on fishing games inside of regular games like Skyrim
Oh, no.
Zelda / Far Cry.
You took this challenge too seriously. What did you do?
Yeah, dude. I downloaded a fishing game. So I
Fucking hell.
yeah, I just found like a free game on the Xbox and downloaded it. I think it was called Catch or The Catch or something like that. And just delved into this fishing game for like a good hour and a half. And I made my character. Maybe I can even upload that photo around about now. Bing photo.
Wow,
and
that
for
is
those
such
who,
a good photo.
I know, right?
Oh,
And for those
such
that
a nice
are-
photo that I can't wait to edit in later.
Damn straight. And for those that are in the podcast, just pull your car over to the side of the road now, and
They're not even
bring up
in
the
their
video.
car.
They can't. It doesn't.
No, they're
You know,
listening in
podcasts
cars.
are audio only. They can't just pull over and be like, "Oh, I'll pull up the visual from this
No.
audio only."
That's exactly right. That means they have to go onto our Facebook or our YouTube or
We don't have a
Instagram. No, it'd be on my Facebook.
The one social
It'll be
media we
up.
don't use.
I don't know, but just find it. It's funny.
Yeah,
So I made myself like an 85-year-old fisherman dude and caught a single fish in an hour and a half.
I've seen this photo.
Yeah, dude.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because we have a group chat for this whole thing, and you uploaded it, and I was like, "Oh, it's Justin," but like 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I thought he was terminally ill. Like
Yeah. No,
Why
that's
not?
what I thought.
Why
So-
not? So yeah, I
It's
gave
Justin
it an
Breaking
hour and a
Bad.
half. I played it like crazy. I actually watched tutorials on how to play it and everything. Got right into it. I caught a single carp, and that was it. And that's when I agreed that that was definitely not for me. But what I can say from that time that I spent playing a fishing game for the only time in my life is that they put way too much goddamn effort into the fishing games inside of games like Far Cry and Skyrim and all the rest of it, because they weren't that far off. Like they were pretty close to very
Oh.
similar to this fishing game.
Uh,
So props to them for putting all this hard work into something that's completely useless inside of a fucking decent game. Well done. All of the people that were involved in the side thing for fishing, well done. You nailed it. You went really good. Like just, yeah, props to you all.
So I'd like to point out something because I'm not familiar with the game you've played, but I had a phase many years ago where I used to just play all the weird sports games I could. And this is like early 2000s, late 90s.
So like golf, fishing, tennis.
Fishing, I had a rodeo game. I had the pro wakeboarding. I had all sorts of... Yeah. It was made by Activision too. It was during the early boom of Tony Hawk.
So it's like Tony Hawk, yeah.
Yeah. So
grinding waves.
Pretty much, yeah. So I had all those sorts of games, and I did have fishing and hunting games. And the true like simulators go way beyond you've got it like if you're like, is it fly fishing where you actually walk in the water?
Yeah.
If you're doing that, you got to make sure you don't walk too fast. And you got to make sure you got like sure footing. And
this had a lot more to it, but the basic concept of the pulling the line and yanking the fish and like slow drag and following the fish to the left and the right and all this other crap.
Yeah,
like it was pretty similar for the most part. Another strange aspect of the Far Cry one, which I was like, what the hell, is you have to collect gunpowder for upgrading your weapons and things like normal stuff. It requires gunpowder to upgrade your tackle in your tackle box. Like, I don't know what the hell they're doing with this tackle.
Fish just bites on, bang!
Just like catch every fish.
No need to scale that one.
And so that was just a little side note, which was very bizarre about it. But yeah, aside from that, screw fishing inside of games. That is my rant.
I'm
not that mad.
Like, I totally get it. Like, I think fishing is boring to do. I did it many years ago, and it was shit.
Yeah.
And doing it in games isn't very fun either. So I'm totally.
I wonder though, as an older human now, because I've been fishing like you guys and found it boring as fucking batshit, and I have no enjoyment of the bait and all that sort of stuff, right? And fuck, I hope this doesn't come back to haunt me. But the actual sitting around with a bunch of mates, maybe having a drink, maybe talking while you're actually actively doing something, I feel like it's similar for the people who enjoy fishing. Again, I'm not saying I do. I don't really enjoy it. To like playing pool with mates, if you've ever done that at the pub, where it's just something to do while you do the hanging out.
Yeah, I get that, but then a single to two player game where like the whole idea is to like.
I don't get why it's in games. I just meant fishing in general. I thought I'd take it away from it for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
No, fishing in general.
Yeah,
if you could go out on a boat for a day, hang out with a bunch of people, sure. But the people who are like every weekend, I want to go out and do that. I don't fucking understand that.
I mean, I guess it's their hobby, just like we have ours. I'm not hating on people for liking fishing. I'm just hating on people for liking fishing inside of games that make no sense.
Yeah,
so. Justin hates fishermen.
That's gonna be the name. That's the title of this episode for sure.
Justin hates fishermen, and on that bombshell, we're going to break.
All right.
Aw, shucks. The weekend's over, and I don't get to play another session of D&D for at least another week. Hi, Curtis here from IRL Dungeons. We can deck your house out with over 100 unique traps, surprise monsters, hidden treasure, and even hauntings. In just 1 hour, we will convert a regular old home to your very own dungeon crawl. No map included, so you'll just have to discover those traps the good old-fashioned way. It's so dark, I can't see. Classic spiked pit trap in the dark. Thanks, IRL Dungeons. Just walking down the stairs, nothing to see here. Classic ankle slasher step trap. Thanks, IRL Dungeons. Call us now for your free quote. First 50 callers get a free upgrade to the Mimic package. You'll never guess where he's gonna be. IRL Dungeons, take the game home with you.
All right, and welcome back. So we've done a fair bit of ranting thus far, but it's all been about gaming. So I'm just going to throw to Jace, because he's our gaming guy, and see if he has anything redemption for gaming.
Partially. So thanks to the Christmas sales, which are fantastic, been happening everywhere, like Steam, Good Old Game, Epic Game Store, all the fun stuff. I've picked up a bunch of games super cheap. So I've been playing a fair bit of some of them at the moment. The first Unexpected one, I thought it looked really cool in its trailer, and I was like, this looks kooky and fun. It's a remaster that had never come out on PC until the remaster. So I never had a chance to play it because apparently it was Xbox 360 exclusive. It's a game called Star Ocean. You might be somewhat familiar with it, Brady, because it had a spin-off anime that had 25 episodes and got cancelled.
It sounds familiar, and I can't think of why. Give me some more.
There's like 15 games in the series, and they're all console exclusive, except this one and the next one that's planned to come out. So it's a JRPG, and
Of course it
the
is.
general premise of it is that Earth has become nigh on uninhabitable. So you're going into the Star Ocean, aka space, to find new habitable planets. So it's basically the plot of Mass Effect Andromeda, but it's not shit. So yeah, Star Ocean, The Last Hope is actually quite fun. Like, I really struggle with JRPGs that I haven't played before because I get burnt so much. I'm like, a JRPG I haven't played, it looks so kooky and fun. I pick it up and it's either like more like just, I don't know, Devil May Cry ripoff, where it ends up like a hack and slash type game, or it ends up just way over the top with all these bizarre combat mechanics that just make the game unenjoyable. This is sort of a middle ground, and it's been brilliant to play so far. I'm about 4 hours in at the moment, and I can see myself playing this all the way and no worries. I think it's actually quite a lot of fun, but it does delve into one of the anime things that I don't quite like. There's one character, Raimi, who is your like offsider. She's like cute little Japanese girl. She's awesome, you know, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you finish a fight and it does the victory fanfare that's notorious in JRPGs, if she hit the last move, it's like her fanfare and it scans around her. It focuses on her ass the entire time. And she's just wearing like tight latex booty shorts. I'm like, dude, she's supposed to be like 16, 17. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Stop. But otherwise, it's a fucking brilliant game. And I highly recommend that.
Yeah, that sounds.
They're always
JRPG,
borderlining that like, is it okay sort of line, you know, like,
yeah.
Oh no, they cross it quite regularly. Actually,
they skate real close to it, or they just go right over the top with it.
Yes, they do.
I'm sure Jace has more gaming stuff, but I definitely have one to pose a question to you two. We can do it later, or we can do it now.
No, let's throw it.
Yeah, okay. So I recently reviewed an anime that I thought was really fucking good. And the problem with reviewing anything till it's finished is it might not be, or it might turn very bad. But it's hard, right? Because anime comes out multiple seasons a year, and then you watch it and you go, this is fucking great. Then you watch its next bit and you go, oh, what have you done? Oh no. So, but I reviewed one that I thought was good, and I think I talked about in this. No, I know I talked about in this show. Michigo Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation.
Yes, you've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah, still think, despite the horny, pretty good show. But then it led to a spot that I thought was only ever sort of teased, but wouldn't actually occur. Because that's what a lot of anime does, right? Like it does, as you said, the spin around shot on the ass. But, yeah, nothing happens. So you sit there going, that's uncomfortable, but I'll move on. And it led me going, oh, fuck. Like I sat there with like that look because it was such a climactic emotional moment. And then I remembered what was actually happening outside of the reality of the show. So in the show, guy's reincarnated, but the guy's like 40, right? Important information. Journeys with a bunch of people. So the 40-year-old had horrific trauma that led to him having horrific social anxiety. And they give you flashbacks to this the whole time. And throughout the show in this fantasy realm, he's overcoming that, which is the really cool thing about the show, right? He's getting past that problem in a really fun way that I think every person who watches anime who is a bit of a shut-in might enjoy, or not even a full shut-in, but like who has those withdrawn moments or has had bad social experiences might be like, oh, okay, no, I like this character, even though he's overly horny all the time. It is mentioned several times he's a virgin, he's like 40 and he had some horrific shit happen in high school that led him to close himself in for the next 30 years. But the show leads up to eventually the end of season 2, which is just finished up now, and him and another character become intimate, which was fine, except she was 16. Not great in a general storytelling. What bothered me was that he was 14, but okay, he's not really, just biologically, but intellectually he's 40. So I sat there being like, ew.
Yeah.
Like, I just sat on the fence the whole time being like, does the story redeem this moment? Or do I need to turn this off to be a good human being?
I'm really on the fence with that because, like,
I was so stuck because this is a guy who had negative experiences in high school and then shut himself in a room and didn't leave it for the next 30 years.
yeah, but so
But
that
he's still
part,
Kind of
40 years
describing
old.
like Steve Carell in 40-Year-Old Virgin. I'm just picturing that dude now. Like,
Yeah, but that's slightly
but
different. Like
instead
that guy
he gets with the daughter.
yeah. Yeah.
That's but I mean, physically he's 14, which is also weird. But like for some reason
Yeah.
we're all able to turn a blind eye to males. But
Of course. But no,
It-
but like
14
intellectually being 40, it still makes it you're 40, right? Like
it does.
Sort
And the
of.
weird thing is, like, and the problem is, maybe this is an Australian problem because, as I discovered, compared to the rest of the world, our liberties of when we decide to adventure into activity is a little bit different. But I still just sat there being like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do with this.
I think it's a really contentious issue because, like, from a biological standpoint, I don't really see too much of an issue. If anything, she would be more likely to take advantage of him. But from a legal standpoint, like,
And that's the
some
thing.
countries,
So
that's
a lot of these
morally-
shows are based in, especially fantasy realms. You would know this, Justin, because you do all the fantasy stuff with D&D. Is
Yeah,
based
and-
more Middle Ages-y, and
Yeah.
and back not even that long ago. I mean, what in human history? It's only like 200 years ago. We were much more liberal with our ages of consent.
I'm
But,
pretty
like-
sure ages of consent didn't come in until like the 1800s anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's but then still we got to measure a show that's released today by today's standards, but also the manga was written a while ago. I don't know. I just sat there being like, I really wish you didn't do this because I also am somewhat aware that there's going to be a time skip in the future, and I'm like, could you not have just chilled on it?
Yeah,
It was still quite emotional and fine, but like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, that's a hard one. It's a 50-50 for me. I think it's a 50-50
Yeah.
for all of us.
and I think I'd just sit there being uncomfortable and just call
That was it.
a day.
And in fairness, you didn't actually see anything. Of course, anime is like notorious. Very rarely does the scene actually play out. It's usually like, this is gonna happen. Fade to dark. Wake up the next
Use your
day.
imagination for the rest. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Just sort of finish the you
Yeah,
finish the
alright,
scene,
you
you just feel
fucking weirdo.
dirty, you just go have a shower and you're like, gross. Okay, that's done.
But yeah, it's funny when these things occur. Like you said, with the zoom around the girl's ass, you're like, why? Because those scenes are going to occur regularly, and you're like, I don't need this. But
Yeah, absolutely. And like whenever it does it to the guys, it's just like around their torso.
Yeah, and they're just
And
like, hey.
But like they're not even
I
muscular
mean, in
guys,
fairness,
so
that's
it's
probably
not like
meant. Yeah, okay. I was about to go down that
it
route.
was typical anime guys, not like JoJo guys. It's just typical weedy sort of guys, like, you know, Yeah, and
Like
they're
us.
all wearing like chest armor and stuff anyway, so you don't.
Yeah.
Not like they're
Yeah.
flexing and showing
It's
shit
not
off.
meant to be a sexy anime guy, no.
No, exactly. So, but all in all, good game nonetheless. The other one,
Let's go back to that.
So that was Star Ocean, right?
yeah, Star Ocean,
Star
The
Ocean.
Last Hope.
I have looked up a little
okay.
bit on that anime, and I've definitely come into contact. Studio Dean does it, by the way. So they've done a few sort of side things, but they did Fate Stay Night, which is stupid popular. And then a couple other things.
So
including,
did the anime?
they did Konosuba.
Oh, really? Well, there you go.
Yeah, so they're the studio that did Konosuba as well as Log Horizon.
Did the anime version like get a like an ending, or was it just like
No idea.
The next
I just
episode
know it was
never
cancelled.
came out.
I think
Yeah,
I've
right.
glanced at an episode or two, and that's why it's just ringing a bell but not going anywhere for me.
On the upside, I will be getting my hands on the anime, so I can sort you guys out. And we can figure that out.
Yeah, because I've only done a bit of it, and I'm very confused by why it's ringing such a bell for me. But that's okay.
Maybe you heard it was cancelled, and you were like, "Yeah."
So the next game that I picked up that was sort of unexpected is a game that I used to see all the time in game stores, but I was always like, should I or should I not? Because if I remembered correctly at the time, reviews were kind of average on the game. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a crack because it was $3 on Good Old Game.
Nice.
It's called John Woo's Stranglehold. Came out in about 2007.
I remember seeing that game popping up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's got Chow Yun-fat, very famous Chinese martial artist who's in a lot of like Hong Kong action movies. He's like the main character in it, and he's on the cover like jumping backwards, shooting guns like Max Payne. And me being a huge whore for Max Payne, I'm like, why had I never tried this out? So I picked it up. It is exactly like playing a Hong Kong action movie in a video game. Like you can slow down time and like shoot everything around you, like little signs and shit, and the signs will fall down and kill people, and like you
Really?
yeah, and like just arbitrary stuff like you can shoot out a post on a building and it'll make like a rock fall down and kill someone and stuff like that. And there's like random like standoff moments where it goes into slow motion and you can literally dodge bullets while you shoot at the people, and it's got some really cool mechanics in it, and you can interact with the environment in kind of interesting ways. So like there's one scene early on where there's like a little like watermelon cart that's in a like, what do they call them, like a marketplace in Hong Kong, and you can dive and jump on the cart and it rolls along while you shoot people.
That's sick.
You're not forced to do it. It's not like a mandatory part of this.
Yeah.
It's just you can jump at it and do it, and it's fucking cool. And
That's
while
sick.
the game's a bit dated because it is 14 years old, something like that, it's fucking fun. Like for a few bucks, man, I 100% recommend it. It is a lot of just chilled out fun. It's just a bit of a silly, brainless shooter. You can just jump around, shoot stuff, have fun. It's good. Yeah.
Sounds
So
great.
that was my experience as far as good things that I purchased.
Oh God, we already did Justin's rant.
So I purchased Need for Speed 2015. I loved the Need for Speed games.
Wait, hang on. You mean like OG? Is that what you're talking about, or is that a new game?
No, Need for Speed. It was just called Need for Speed. It was
Yeah,
like a franchise
subtitle.
reboot.
Right. So you were
2015.
doing the year. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, like there's nearly 2015 fucking Need for Speed games now anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was at it.
But like I've been a big fan of the Need for Speed series for years.
Yeah.
Carbon was probably the last decent-ish game, even though I have my problems with that. But you know, they've had okay titles since then. I got Need for Speed Heat a while back, and I thought it was okay, but the mission structure annoyed me, and I just kind of gave up on the game. So I thought 2015, I bought it on Xbox ages ago, played about an hour of it, and I'm like, I fucking hate playing games on Xbox. So I just stopped playing it. But I wanted to get back into it for two reasons. One, because you can get a Mark II Volkswagen Golf, and those things are beautiful. And because you can get a Volvo 242, which is also beautiful. And so I wanted to do these up as like badass cars and just race the shit out of them, which is great at the start. But then, as racing games evolve, you've got to progressively upgrade your cars or buy new cars to get better and better and so on and so forth. That's how these games work. That's fine. That's normal. Except the further you get in the game, the more you realize how fucking pathetic the handling of the game is. Like, you cannot have a car based on a grip handling, because grip basically means your car can't turn. If you go into a hairpin, take off the accelerator, put down on the brake, and reef to the left, it just pretty much drives straight into the wall. It has the worst handling mechanics. The only way you can get around is by drifting.
Drifting, yeah.
And that means you've got to then set up a drift mechanic. But the drift mechanics are also pretty average, because you've got to spend ages getting to the point where it lets you drift easily enough, but then you don't keep drifting through the whole corner, because then you lose speed. And so you've got to find this weird balance, and it completely ruins the game, because I've got to spend hours figuring out how to get my car to actually turn. Like it's not even like trying to get it semi-realistic. It's trying to get it so I can go around a fucking
So you can
corner.
stay on the damn road.
It's so
it's funny here, actually, because I actually had so I've played quite a few of the Need for Speeds, right? So I actually enjoyed the one they brought out, whichever the first one was, where you fucking versing cops on the street, and then they got in trouble and they took it to the next game was like just on the track. They were real specific about it.
So the first one against cops was Hot Pursuit, which was Need for Speed 3, technically, I believe. Came out in 1998.
Enjoyed the shit out of that, even though some of the mechanics were like pretty jank, like knocking over scaffolding to just suddenly destroy an entire cop car. And then sometimes you'd bash into one and nothing would happen. It was weird.
I think what Brady's referring to is the newer versions of these games.
It might be Most Wanted that he's thinking of, actually.
Oh, it might even be Most Wanted, yeah.
Or it could be the newer.
Yeah, played that. But then the first one that was like track only. There's a mate of mine who was super car orientated as a human being, like a real person, and super into drifting and all that. And he couldn't get past the drift missions. And I was there and I was like, oh, I got this. As a gamer, not that I fit into that category properly, but as someone who enjoys games more than fucking real life drifting, I was like, oh, I got this. And I did like 3 goes and I was like, oh no, you just got to do it like this. And he's like, that's not like driving though. I was like, I don't know, but it fucking works for the game.
It works for the game.
So like exactly like what you're saying, like you had to throw realism out the window and just go, I'm going to do not even gaming. I'm going to do what this game wants me to do to be able to make this fucking work. Which is just annoying, right?
Yeah.
Like
so I don't mind the arcadiness, because Need for Speed's always been an arcade game. It bragged about it for eons, except for Need for Speed Shift and Shift Unleashed, which were their simulator games.
That was the ones. Yeah, I just went looking them up. I was like, I need to know this. Shift.
Yeah, there was also another one. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all based around like a race festival, and it was all like legitimate racing. And that came out. Sorry,
The Run or Pro Street?
Pro Street, that's the one.
Yeah.
So that was another one around that time period. That wasn't bad either. But yeah, there are some really weird mechanics in it. And I used to have a racing license, and I did race cars like for funsies. And I did have like a 250 kilowatt Golf GTI. So I did have a fast car at a time. I do understand how racing works, but I can also throw that out the window. This doesn't work on either dynamic. And when I was
Yeah,
looking it
right.
up, there's entire tutorials on how to get your car to handle properly for Need for
Yeah.
Speed 2015.
Dude, that's way too much work. If I have to put that much work into a game, like that's no longer a game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. If I have to make it not either real or a game, but its own specific thing they've designed because they were like, this'll work.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, no.
I much prefer like the Forza technique of it, where it's like, if you want, here's all the handling stuff where you can figure out like the damper of your suspension, all this sort of stuff. It'll change how the car drives. Go for that. If you don't touch it at all, though, your car is still
It'll
completely
still work.
drivable,
Yeah.
and you'll have tons of fun. Have fun,
Yep.
go at it.
And if that car's not working for you, get a different car that works better for you in that scenario, because
Absolutely.
Forza's got a million of them. Like,
Yeah, and immediately once I got to the point where I could not get through this race because I couldn't turn through the corners properly, I tried some of the tutorials on how to set up your handling. It was better, still couldn't do it properly. And like, I play like simulator games, I play arcade games, and I never have this problem. So this is a game problem, not a me problem, as far as I'm concerned. And so I've now uninstalled it, and I spent ages trying to look for a Forza game that was a decent price, and none of them are. So now I'm just
So
sad.
the title of this episode is Games Suck.
Yeah, games suck. Watch anime, play D&D.
fuck fishing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was sort of my experience. So I found 2 really fun games, and then 1 complete disappointment.
It's funny because it was like the least likely to suck. Like, Need for Speed is well known. It's a safe sort of a bet that it will likely be okay, at least, to play. And you get there and it's just broken as shit. Out of the 3, I would have been like,
that's
yeah,
true,
that's probably
though.
a safe bet.
Did you guys ever play The Run, though? I think The Run, Payback, all those sort of recent-ish Need for Speed games, they all sort of had that similar feel where it's like the car feels like it's really heavy.
I was about to say the word heavy. That's exactly what it is.
It feels like you're steering a boat,
Yes.
and you can only turn around corners the moment you hit that drift point. The moment you hit that, bam, you straight through a corner.
I feel like they intentionally
that
put
sounds
weight
like-
in there so it doesn't fuck up when you crash. Because if you notice, when you crash with high velocity in any of the Need for Speeds, the most recent ones I'm talking about, you don't get high. You hit it, and you just basically hit something very heavy, and you don't flip up into the air and do any sort of crazy acrobatics whatsoever for the most part. Like, it's just weight.
Is it just about looking cool, though? Like, they want you to go round a corner looking like a movie, not... because they imagine you're going to stream the shit out of it as well, right? So they want you to look good, not necessarily be real.
But like, it doesn't have to be real, but like, not everyone picks up the game to drift, right? Like, there's people who want to just do circuit racing, so they don't want to drift through corners.
I made a whole fucking Fast and Furious movie about drifting for a reason. Not everybody wants to, but there's a stupid amount of the population who think that's how you go around corners.
Do you know how much of a boner like car nerds get if you just hit a perfect apex as you're going around a corner? Like, you cut in, clip that apex, power out. That's so much better than just drifting
has
through.
that little point where it's like, oh, it's nearly gonna lift. It's nearly gonna lift, and then it doesn't. You're like, yeah.
And if you've ever actually raced the car and hit a corner like that, and you get that feel in the car, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so that all ties together as something that feels really good. And so I totally get it from a looks perspective, but I think you might be onto something, Justin, because the newer games use the same engine. What's it called? Frostbite. The engine that EA used for like all the new Battlefield games. They used it for the Force Unleashed games.
Yeah.
And remember the Star Wars Force Unleashed games? When you threw people, they fucking ragdolled and went wild. Yeah. Maybe that's it. They've had to put weight in the models to stop the physics from like ragdolling the car like ridiculously.
Yeah, so they don't want your car just to be like janked up into the air or some crap.
And that might have actually broken their own handling models.
Oh, like Skyrim getting hit by a giant when you're level 1?
Doesn't that happen even when you're like level fucking
Yeah, dude.
I
Like,
think it's an armor
I've
thing.
worked up for this. I'm so high level, and you get in there and just like, boom,
Yeah, you just get on high ground and shoot them with an arrow.
I
million
think it's an
times.
armor thing because I've definitely taken them on with swords and not getting launched, but it might
Really?
be an armor thing.
Damn.
I've always been launched,
Yeah.
but I don't think I own the like remasters or anything. I have the original release of Skyrim.
I've played both,
So
but yeah.
maybe in a remaster,
But I
they
still
changed.
broke the armor
maybe.
as well. I did the thing where you take the potion while wearing the clothes that have been enchanted to make you better at making clothes. And you make armor. So you're drinking a potion while wearing clothes that make you better at making armor, and then you go and enchant that. So mine were like at the stats that were broken.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, I couldn't talk to anyone or stab anything.
It's either you were playing the broken game like you were, or they talk to Need for Speed and they're like, hey, can you like lend us that like weight dynamic that you have in your cars? Because our players just kept getting launched by these giants. So if you could just make them like super fucking heavy, just like every car game that you guys are coming out with, that'd be great. And they're like, yeah, no worries, mate.
Yeah, that's one of the like 50 million re-releases of Skyrim. It's the one that was done by EA on the Frostbite engine.
So if you zoom in like really, really close, you can just see this tiny little car on like the belt of your player.
Yeah, do not ride around on the horses in that one though. You can't turn corners.
You just watch the horse's legs just crush as the weight of your like 5,000 kilo body just comes down on it.
Drifting around the corners in your horse.
No, I've had that time where you've get on the horse and then ride to the edge of the tent. Like, have you ever jumped on a tent on a horse in Skyrim?
No.
So the tents are like basically unbreakable objects, right? So they're perfect. So you can jump on one and then walk to the edge, but because the horses can only have both feet touching something, they didn't have a mechanic for angled. So you can walk till just the back feet are on the top of a tent. And the front feet are hanging on pure air.
Out, yeah.
And you're sitting on the horse. It's so fucked.
That's something that whoever nails that is going to make a lot of money. Like the tent thing, like because tents are just like the unbreakable
in every game. Yeah.
Like, have you ever fallen on a tent in your life? Like I'm sure all of us have.
It's because it's a sheet though. Like you don't
go
see
through it, right? You
or
just like
bed sheets.
Okay, so this will sort of bring me back to Far Cry, but not for fishing.
Oh my
reasons.
god.
So Far Cry is named Far Cry partially because of the graphics engine that the original used, which was the Cry engine, which was made by the company Crytek, who made a game called Crysis.
Yeah.
Crysis was notorious because pretty much every fucking thing in that game was destructible. You can shoot through trees, you can pick up turtles and just throw them into the ocean. That's a thing that I definitely did.
You're setting them free.
On your back. But like, yeah, one of the really cool things about Crysis was that you could like just chainsaw through trees, and
that was really satisfying.
Games like that, using engines like that, will totally be the future.
For sure. I mean, that's Crysis.
There was a Dodge first-person shooter. Was it like Red Faction or something like that?
Red Faction I never played, but I did hear of it having really mad destruction.
Where
like nearly every building could be blown up.
You could
even more than that. You could dig holes, you could dig tunnels and shit. Yeah.
And then you'd stand in them and camp like a mother. So you like shoot holes in a wall and then sitting there and camp, and people run past and you're like, haha. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, dude. You can make like little rat tunnels all around like the outer parts of the game.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Hyper destructible environments are something that like every shooter needs.
Yep. Agreed.
Like it'll just be the future of shooting games. Like Battlefield is sort of heading there as far as like destructible environments in online.
They partly feel that way, but they also partly feel cinematic. Like when you take down that big blimp in Battlefield 1 or whatever it is, 5 or 1, I can't remember which one it is, and you watch that blimp come down, you're like, oh my God, that is sick. And then you realize, you do it again the next time and it's exactly the same cinematic,
The same happens every time you blow up any of the buildings in 3 and 4 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The really cool ones though were like the random buildings around checkpoints
Yeah.
that like a tank hits and it just like blows the side out of it. But then
Correct.
you can
Yeah.
hit it again and blow the other side out until it completely collapses.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being able to like blow up part of a building. You're like, that was sick, let's blow up more, and then it doesn't. And it's just like, the rest is indestructible. You're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah. So games like that, that's going to be totally cool as shit when that happens. Like, hell yes.
Yeah.
We just need super destructible games. Sign me up for that.
Well, like, it's like, I hate Fortnite, but you go into like one of the big cities in Fortnite and you can level the entire thing out. Like, and that is satisfying as hell. Like, we just do it. I don't know. I think we just like destroying shit as gamers. You know, just like just to know that you can.
I think when it serves a purpose, it does change
hell.
things a little bit though. Like there's games where you're just like, oh, I blew a stupid hole in that. Oh, you might be right though. I love the shit out of Worms.
Yeah, but Worms are sort of just because that's a gameplay mechanic that helps you.
Yeah.
But like, there's also some satisfaction in the fact that like, if let's take this to D&D, right? You have unlimited freedom, and everyone's already seen our Christmas special, so they know of the absurd shit that I came up with. If I can walk into a video game and say, I wonder if I can fucking do that, and then it says you can do that.
Can. Yeah.
That's what I want. I want a game that, like, obviously within the confines of the game, of course, it lets me do the things.
While we're still doing top-down games, that's not gonna. I mean, until we can do bottom-up, adaptable situations, that's really
well. Like, I mean, like, what's a good
kind
example?
Of restricted, right?
Yeah, but like, okay, let's say that it's a shooter, right? You've got to get from A to B, shoot the bad guys along the way. If I'm walking past a room and I see that, you know, it's a fucking toilet, right? I'm like, cool, I'll head in there. If I can shotgun through the door of the toilet and neck whoever's taken a bog, that's going to be chef's kiss. You know?
I do know what you mean, though. Like, I've played games. One of the earliest games I played where you could do this was like a spy game. I can't remember what it was. It might have been like one of the Tom Clancy ones or something like that. Splinter Cell?
Yeah,
could have been.
That's a Tom Clancy spy game.
Splinter Cell, where you could. There was a mission where you had to do it. It took me ages because they didn't fucking tell you could do this. You could shoot lights out.
Yes, that was the first Splinter Cell. Yeah,
Splinter Cell.
Yeah, first Splinter Cell. There's like a mission. It's like a politician. You got to sneak up and not kill him. You got to taser him. So you got to take out all the lights. But they didn't tell you shit. So I played it like several times, trying to like.
I actually remember that. Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the first missions in the game.
And then I tried a few where I was just like, fuck it, I can't sneak up on him. I just run at him and try and tase him, and it didn't work.
Dive, tackle, tase him off the stage.
So many things because they didn't say shoot out the lights, and I was like, oh, I do have a silencer though. So then, like, eventually I worked out shoot out the lights. He freaks out a bit, but he doesn't bail. But in relation to what you're saying, that freedom, whilst it took me a while to work out in that particular game, being able to do that was fucking cool. And then I knew it for the rest of the game, so it came in handy a lot. But being able to shoot out lights, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I think Jace's example of like Crisis though, with shooting down the trees, like just mowing trees down with a chain gun, like something like that, like not to the point of where it's actually useful, but just because you can. Like I think those things are the things that are going to take it to the next level. Like, so the taking out of the lights thing, almost, I think I would probably argue that it is essential for you to actually have to have done that to have, gotten through that. I don't think there's another way of doing it.
It's still such a cool added.
It's a great concept.
I mean, I know what you mean though.
Just to be able to do something, like Red Faction, just digging holes through the game because you can, like digging. Like I was digging tunnels and all sorts of crap. And like you'd have these little tunnel systems going along and you could hear the footsteps of the guys and you'd run to the next side of the tunnel to take him out. It was so much fun. And they screwed it up on like later ones, Red Faction Guerrilla, I think it was. It was terrible. They got rid of that mechanic. They didn't have such a freedom to do what you wanted. And that was where it wasn't appealing anymore because you just couldn't do the things you could do with the first one. You're like, man, I just want to dig holes. I just want to dig some damn holes in this game.
Going back to the Crisis thing though, like okay, let's say you're against a boss, and Crisis, a lot of it's based in the jungle, right? You're against a boss, you're shooting into him, just absolutely necking, you're having a rough time, whatever, you finally beat them. Wouldn't you just want to like go full fucking Predator and just start shooting into the trees like mad afterwards? And then how satisfying is it to just
see all the trees just
So I just want to summarize a lot of this episode. What we're saying is ants in Skyrim, not unnecessary at all. Fishing in games annoys the both of you, but what you really want in games is optional extras. I just want to check that's where we're at in this episode.
I get where you're coming from, and I get that you're trying to betray me here.
I see how you're trying to fuck us over here. Absolutely.
But if there's a mission where it says you have to mow down 3 Amazons,
5,000 trees,
I'm out.
Yeah.
Uninstall immediately.
Yeah.
But if I can shoot down 3 Amazons myself, sign me up.
It's the hidden things that they don't need to explain to you that you can do, and you're like, hey, that was cool.
Let me do it by choice. Like, have a little fucking tutorial that I'll never read pop up that says, oh, you can go fishing. Yeah. The codex that I'll never read, unlike the codexes that everyone's watching.
Damn straight.
But yeah, tell me that it exists in the game, but don't ever force me to do it. That's it. Like, if it's something that's not essential to the storytelling or anything like that, and it's clearly just tacked in to tell you, hey, we've got this mechanic, you can do it, buddy, then fuck it off. I don't know. Just let me do that on my own if I want to. Otherwise, just let me play the game how I want to.
I feel that. I do. I just liked messing with you guys.
It was good.
Yeah.
We want all the freedom in the world, just not fishing.
Yeah, you brought the point up all yourselves. You're like, optional extras, they're trash. Later in the episode, optional extras, they're all I want. No.
Yeah.
That's
we want everything and nothing at the same time.
I don't know why they can't understand it.
We don't know what we want, but we want it now, for fuck's sake.
Definitely.
On that wild story ending, I reckon that's probably round us out for the episode, guys. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon that's
a great place to stop.
That's good, guys. Thank you so much. Everybody, please subscribe to us on YouTube, leave a comment, like us, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discord, and I think that's it. Is that it? Oh, no. So if you're an audio-only listener, or if you're not, but you'd like to, definitely check out Apple and Spotify. It's available on both. And I think that's about it.
Why would someone want to
I've
go
said it
audio?
the wrong order.
Like if
whatever.
they've seen my face and they want to go audio, issues.
There's something wrong. Wrong. Yeah.
Thank you, basement dwellers. We will see you next time.
Peace.
See ya.